Hi friends, welcome back to Calm in the Chaos Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Davine and I homeschool 4 kids ages 11, 11, 12, and now 15. They are currently in 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. This year for geography, we are studying world geography, focusing on the Eastern Hemisphere. And the first section we did was on Russia, so I created a video on the resources that I used for Russia. I will link that in the description box below if you want to check that out. I'm going to be creating a playlist for all of these recommendations throughout the year as I do research and decide on what picture books, what fables, fairy tales, folklore type books, and what chapter books that my kids will be reading, as well as read alouds that I will be reading to my children as we travel throughout the Eastern Hemisphere. Today I'm going to be talking about the Middle East. We are going to be moving into the Middle East next week. So I'm going to show you all the resources that I'm either going to have like in a basket available for my kids to read, or resources that I will read to my children as a read aloud, or books that they will be assigned to read as their readers. So my children's reading abilities, I would say, range from about 4th grade level to 8th or 9th grade level. As I go through the chapter books and readers that I have available, I will be letting you know sort of the reading level of each book so that you will know if it might be appropriate for your child. I'm going to start with the picture books, move into the fables, and then move into the chapter books. I will leave timestamps below if you're not interested in any of these particular sections. Okay, so let's just start with the picture books that I have gathered here. I've done a lot of research to find some really good books. I've looked inside of these books, but I have not read all of these books cover to cover. So please check them out for yourself before you purchase them. I'll try to give you a good idea of what they are about in this video. The first one I have here is My Name is Sangol, or Sangole, I'm not sure how to say that. And this says, Sangole is a refugee leaving behind his homeland of Sudan, where his father died in the war. He has little to call his own other than his name, a Dinka name handed down proudly from his father and grandfather before him. When Sangol and his mother and sister arrive in the United States, everything seems very strange. And unlike home, in this busy, noisy place with its escalators and television sets and traffic and snow, Sangol quietly endures the fact that no one is able to pronounce his name. Lonely and homesick, he finally comes up with an ingenious solution to this problem, and in the process, he at last begins to feel at home. All right, so this is not a lot of words in here, but basically a story of an immigrant family. Okay, we have Silent Music, a story of Baghdad. Ali lives in Baghdad, a dangerous place undergoing difficult times. He loves soccer and loud music, but most of all, he loves practicing calligraphy, the ancient art of drawing letters. He is inspired by Yakut, the master calligrapher who lived in Baghdad some 800 years ago, also in a time of war. This is their story. Right. We have Yoha Makes a Wish, a shepherdic tale. So, who is rich? Foolish Yoha. By the time he learns how to use a magical wishing stick properly, he's lost almost everything, and simply having his previous fortune restored is a welcome relief. An old Jewish saying goes, who is rich? Those who appreciate what they have. The concept of samoch Bechokol, this is Hebrew, for satisfaction of what one has is a secret ingredient of happiness. Yoha learns this lesson the hard way, but at least he learns it. The poor sultan never does. All right, so a little fable here. We have Nasreen's Secret School, a true story from Afghanistan. I apologize for the glare. So young Nasreen has not spoken a word to anyone since her parents disappeared. In despair, her grandmother risks everything to enroll Nasreen in a secret school for girls. Will a devoted teacher, a new friend, and the world she discovers in books be enough to draw Nasreen out of her shell of sadness? Based on a true story from Afghanistan, this inspiring book will touch readers deeply, as it affirms both the life-changing power of education and the healing power of love. We have City's Secrets, and this says, Mona's grandmother, her Siti, lives in a small Pakistani village on the other side of the earth. Once Mona went to visit her. They couldn't speak each other's language, so they made up their own. They learned about each other's worlds, and they discovered each other's secrets. Then it was time for Mona to go back home, back to the other side of earth. But even though there were millions of miles and millions of people between them, they remained true neighbors forever. We have The Librarian of Basra, a true story from Iraq. So I don't see anything here telling about what this story is about. So of course there's war involved, as in the Middle East. A lot of these books, of course, will involve war and what happens when there's war, what happens to people living there, people having to immigrate, and yeah, the consequences of war. The Sky of Afghanistan. So this says, I look at the sky and I close my eyes. My imagination begins to fly. The sky can be full of kites, I think, but also full of dreams. My dream flies high, high up towards the stars. A little Afghan girl, a dream and a song for peace. So some beautiful pictures in here. So of course, then I got a lot of the Arabian Tale type books. So I looked through them and I chose the two that I liked the most from the ones that I gathered. So I like this one, the Eyewitness Classics, Aladdin, and Other Tales from Arabian Nights. And what I liked about this is that it has both information. So we have an introduction here, and then there's information about the Arabian Empire. We have Arabian Days. So it's not just the tales, and then it goes into tales. So there are, let's see, looks like about around eight tales there in here. And then at the end, they also have more information. And I'm not sure if they have some in between, but they have more information. So it's a mix of just a story that you could read as well as some of the famous tales. So I think this is going to be the one that I'll put in my morning basket, and it will be part of my rotation when we are doing the fairy tales, folklore, that section of our morning basket. We'll be reading through some of these stories. Another very beautiful one that I found was this one, Tales from Arabian Nights, Stories of Adventure, Magic, Love, and Betrayal. This one has some very beautiful pictures. It's quite a large book, but let's see if I can get some ideas here. So this would be a beautiful book to read from. It also has these little side notes that gives more information about the region and the area. So that is that one there. So that covers more of the picture books, folklore, folk tales, those sort of things. Now I'm going to move into the books that I have chosen for my kids to choose their readers from. I'm going to go through and give you the reading level and give you an idea of what the book is about. And after that, I'm going to show you the ones that I've chosen to do as read alouds to my children. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a book talk with my kids. I did this for the Russian books that I had. I'm going to show them all of these books, and my younger two are going to pick their 4 top favorites. I will let them have their first one, and then I will pick their second book for them out of their next 3 picks. So they'll be reading 2 of these books during the time we're studying Middle East. And then my older two, my 7th and 8th grader, they're going to be reading 3 of these books. So I'll let them pick their 4 or 5 top picks. They'll get to read their first 2 that they pick, and then I'll pick that last one for them based on just what I feel like I would like them to read. Now, these chapter books and readers, I do put a lot more effort into researching them a bit just to make sure that they are appropriate for my family. My kids are not super sensitive kids, so as you are studying this region, you do need to be aware of your kids and the content that is in these books. I don't feel like any of this is going to be too mature for my children. This is a mix of recommendations that I've gotten online from some Facebook groups that kind of go through and check out books like this, as well as some Bookshark and Sunlight books. I have these organized based on reading level. However, some of these books might be thicker. They might be a lower reading level, but be a little bit thicker. So you might want to take that into consideration when choosing books for your kids. And I'm starting with the lowest on the Lexile reading level. I will link a document below to kind of explain the Lexile reading level. So this is supposed to be at a 3rd grade reading level, but based on the content and the thickness of the book, I would probably move it up. But the supposedly easiest book to read according to the types of words is this one here, The Red Pencil. So can one small gift change Amara's destiny? And as you can see, it's a pretty thick book. However, it is written in verse. So another thing to keep into account when you assign this book or if your child's reading this book. All right, so the back says, finally, Amara is 12. She wants to learn to read and write and to set free all the big ideas she finds herself sketching in the sand. But girls like Amara don't go to school. Still, she can't help but hope for something more. Her dreams are pushed aside when the Janjaweed militia storms her small village, shattering her life as she knows it. As Amara starts a long journey towards a new life at a refugee camp, she feels her spirit slipping away, until the gift of one red pencil opens her mind and all kinds of possibilities. All right, so that one there, like I said, content-wise, it might be a little harder, and the fact that it's written in verse could be a little more challenging for a child. So this next one is supposed to be at a 3rd grade level as well, possibly 4th grade level. The Turtle of Oman. Here are some things Aref loves about his home. Mishmash his cat, the dunes in the desert, his friends Durham and Suliam, fresh apricots, crispy fish served in baskets, his grandfather Sidi, his excellent rock collection, and the turtles of Oman. Aref does not want to move to Michigan. He's sure the kids there won't like him. Also, he has everything he needs right where he is. But Sidi has another point of view. Sidi says Aref will go and come back, just like a falcon or the turtles of Oman. He'll travel far and make his way home to Muscat. So Aref sets out to say goodbye to everything he loves. Goodbye to Mishmish, Durham, Solima, Dunes, Sidi, but how can he stand it? All right, so just what the inside looks like there. Pretty thick book as well, but lower reading level. The next one is also considered to be at a 3rd grade level. I taught it in 4th grade as a read aloud with my class. It is The Breadwinner. And so this one is about Parvana. So Parvana felt the shadow before she saw it as the man moved between her and the sun. Turning her head, she saw the dark turban that was the uniform of the Taliban. A rifle was slung across his chest as casually as her father's shoulder bag had been slung across hers. 11-year-old Parvana lives in Kabul, Afghanistan's capital city. Her father works from a blanket on the ground in the marketplace, reading letters for people who cannot read or write. One day he is arrested and the family is left without someone who can earn money or even shop for food. As the conditions for the family grow desperate, only one solution emerges. Forbidden to earn money as a girl, Parvana must disguise herself as a boy and become the breadwinner. This book, as you can tell, has some difficult topics. It looks like that on the inside. Definitely one that you would probably want to have discussions with your kid about. But like I said, I did this with my 4th grade class, and as a read aloud, it was definitely appropriate. The next one is also considered a 3rd grade level, maybe 3rd, more 4th. It is The Shadow Spinner. So let's take a look inside. That's what that looks like. And it says, every night Shahrazad begins a story, and every morning the Sultan lets her live another day. providing the story is interesting enough to capture his attention. After almost 1,000 nights, Shahrazad is running out of tales, and that is how Marjan's story begins. It falls to Marjan to help Shahrazad find new stories, ones that the Sultan has never heard before. To do that, the girl is forced to undertake a dangerous and forbidden mission, sneak from the harem and travel to the city, pulling tales from strangers and bringing them back to Shahrazad. But as she searches the city, a wonderful thing happens. From a quiet spinner of tales, Marjan suddenly becomes the center of a more surprising story than she ever could imagine. So this one is one that is recommended in both Bookshark and Sunlight, so I do trust their selections. So even though it says the harem, I would say that is probably, I think that's safe for children to read. All right, so the next one is considered a grade 4 book, and that is King of the Wind. So I'd say 4 or 5. It is not super thick. It does have a few pictures, it looks like in there. So he was named Sham for the sun, this golden-haired stallion born in the Sultan of Morocco's stone stables. Upon his heels was a small white spot, the symbol of speed, but on his chest was the symbol of misfortune. Although he was as swift as the desert winds, Sham's proud pedigree would be scorned all his life by cruel masters and owners. This is the classic tale of Sham and his friend, the stable boy Agba. Their adventures take them from the sands of the Sahara to the royal courts of France, and finally to the green pastures and stately homes of England. For Sham was the renowned Godolphin Arabian, whose blood flows through the veins of almost every superior thoroughbred. Sham's speed, like his story, has become legendary. So the next one here is considered to be more at a 5th grade level, The Princess and the Foal, a real-life princess, a forever friendship. So this one is, Princess Haya of Jordan loves her family more than anything, especially her mother, who brings light and happiness to the royal palace. So when Queen Aliyah is killed in a tragic accident, Princess Haya is devastated. Knowing how unhappy she is and how much she loves the horses in his stables, Haya's father, King Hassan, gives her a special birthday present, a foal of her very own. And this foal changes Princess Haya's world completely. So inspired by the real-life story of Olympic equestrian princess Haya bint al-Hassan, this is a powerful and touching story of a young royal who discovers her true self in her father's stables. So also said to be at like a 4th, maybe 5th grade level is Habibi. The day after Liana got her first real kiss, her life changed forever. Not because of the kiss, but because it was the day her father announced that the family was moving from St. Louis all the way to Palestine. Though her father grew up there, Liana knows very little about her family's Arab heritage. Her grandmother and the rest of her relatives who live in the West Bank are strangers and speak a language she can't understand. It isn't until she meets Omar that her homesickness fades, but Omar is Jewish, and their friendship is silently forbidden in this land. How can they make their families understand? How can Liana ever learn to call this place home? All right, so very interesting for current times anyways. So that's what that looks like. And the last chapter book or read aloud, not one that I'm reading, but this is one that my kids can choose from, is this one. It is grade 5, so maybe a grade 5 or 6 level, Ali and the Golden Eagle. So this is about, let's see, the big eagle reeled in flight and flew straight towards a steer wall of the canyon. She was joined by an even larger eagle, her mate, and together they flew, wingtip to wingtip, and seemed to disappear into the rocky face of the cliff. From where we stood, we had a ringside seat, while the great birds of prey hunted ground animals and sometimes each other. We watched the golden eagles with awe. I have never seen a more powerful bird than the golden eagle, said Ali. They are so big and so fast in the air. If I could train one, I could be the best falconer in all the world. All right, so that is that. All right, so like I said, my kids are going to be picking out of those. And then here are the 4 books I'm going to be doing as read-alouds while we are doing the Middle East. The first one is Shadows of Gadames. It says, in the Liberian city of Gadames, Malika watches her merchant father depart on one of his caravan expeditions. Malika, too, yearns to travel to distant cities, and she longs to learn to read like her younger brother. But nearly 12 years old and soon to be of marriageable age, Malika, like all Muslim women, must be content with a more secluded, more limited life. Then one night a stranger enters her home, someone who disrupts the order of things and who affects Malika in unexpected ways. So this is quite a thin book, so I'm not sure. It should be a pretty easy read. Maybe I'll finish that before Christmas break. And then we have 7 daughters and 7 sons. So in an ancient Arab nation, one woman dares to be different. Bruran will not, sit quietly at home and wait to be married to the man her father chooses. Determined to use her skills and earn a fortune, she instead disguises herself as a boy and travels by camel caravan to a distant city. There she maintains her masculine disguise and establishes a successful business. The city's crown prince comes often to her shop, and soon Buran finds herself falling in love. But if she reveals to Mahmud that she is a woman, she will lose everything she has worked for. Right. So next one, I have Living Waters in the Desert, True Stories of God at Work in Iran. And this is Hidden Heroes 6. I've not ever read any of these, but I'll probably be doing this more with our morning like Bible time, maybe once like have it in my rotation. So it has a few pictures in there. So it says, more Muslims in Iran have come to faith in Christ in the last 30 years than in 1300 years that Islam has been in the country. In a land that is notorious for persecution, one man was overcome by a missionary's kindness. Another was stopped by a vision of men in blue. One became sick and tired of his own religion. Another saw a man named Jesus in a dream, coming to him on a donkey. A girl found a strange book on the floor of the library and visited a secret prayer meeting. All of them eventually came to Jesus Christ for his full and free salvation, becoming missionaries of their own people. Through the lives of missionaries and Iranian believers, God's word is being spread far and wide. 17 chapters tell true stories of the living water of Jesus Christ, pouring out for thirsty people to drink in the country of Iran. All right, and this last book is one that I'll be reading out loud as well. I Am Malala, How One Girl Stood Up for Education and Changed the World. This is a young reader's edition, so I'm hoping it'll hold my kids' interest. And so it is the true story of education activist and the youngest ever Nobel Peace Prize winner. Malala Yousafzai was 10 years old when the Taliban took control of her region. Raised in a once peaceful area of Pakistan transformed by terrorism, Malala was taught to stand up for what she believes. So in a time when girls were forbidden from going to school, she fought for her right to be educated. On October 9th, 2012, she was shot point blank while riding the bus on her way home from school. No one expected her to survive. Now Malala is an international symbol of peaceful protest. Malala's powerful story will make you believe that one child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world. Right. And then this one has some pictures in there as well. Okay, so I hope that's helpful if you're doing research and trying to find some books for studying the Middle East. Please don't forget to give this video a like if you like videos like this, and subscribe if you'd like to see future videos on homeschooling, how we homeschool, how to homeschool, curriculum flip-throughs and reviews. Thanks so much for coming today, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye, everyone.